Hello, everybody. My name is Daniel Lopez, and welcome to my presentation on CNS stimulants. This first representation is a visual representation of your brain on drugs. I'm sure we've all seen the infomercial where he cracks the egg into the skillet and goes, "This is your brain on drugs." It's a nice little callback there. So first, like I said, we're talking about CNS stimulants, specifically cocaine and crack cocaine. The presentation is divided up into three specific topics. What is cocaine and crack cocaine? How is it derived? How does it work in the body, in your brain, and in the rest of your physiological responses? And then what is the difference between crack cocaine, this top white powder right here, or excuse me, crack cocaine, these bottom rocks right here, and cocaine, this top white powder? So first, what is cocaine? Cocaine is a nervous system stimulant, a Schedule II narcotic derived from the coca leaf, which you can see right here. These people picking these leaves off the plantation out of a plantation. It is then refined into a paste and then a powder, which is sold over here in the United States as cocaine, or sometimes for the derivative crack cocaine. Almost all cocaine in the United States, over 90%, is derived from Central America and goes through that southern border. So that's where most of our nation gets its cocaine. Next, we have the physiological effects of cocaine, that being the brain and the body. So, as a physiological response, it is a stimulant, so it creates an intense alertness and increased a sense of being awake. Excuse me. Cocaine creates a full sympathetic response, meaning that it heightens the heart rate as well as increases systolic and diastolic blood pressure, just kind of spiking all those vitals. Withdrawals are one of the most common things. There's an instant crash from the highs that we'll talk about a little bit more in the brain response section, as well as serious withdrawals such as skin crawlers, which is what many people who are highly addicted report feeling when they have withdrawal from the drug. They feel kind of like little animals crawling under their skin. That's why stereotypically you'll see a lot of cocaine and crack cocaine addicts scratching their skin really aggressively because they're trying to alleviate themselves of that creepy crawly feeling. The brain response is a pre and post synaptic response of brain receptors. Specifically, cocaine prolongs the activity of transmitters via blocking reuptake, which we'll talk about more in the next slide. So this is an example of the presynaptic and postsynaptic terminals, and the types of molecules, dopamine, noradrenaline, and serotonin that go through these receptors. So cocaine, as you can see here, is really important in the reuptake, meaning that it blocks these receptors molecules from going back to the presynaptic terminal. It basically means that all of these presynaptic molecules are getting forced out into receptors that create that intense physiological response, or that high, while also blocking its kind of way back into the presynaptic terminal, which means it's forcing all of the molecules to be received by a receptor and basically feel that feeling of the high. That's where the intense crash comes in, because once those reuptakes are opened up, the molecule goes back into the presynaptic terminal and does not go to any of the receptors, creating a huge sense of depression. There are some clear distinctions between crack cocaine and cocaine. Most considerably is the heat of vaporization. As you can see, cocaine has a heat of vaporization of 190 and crack has a heat of vaporization of 90. That leads to the actual intake of the drug. Cocaine is usually and most of the times intranasally taken, means it's snorted. You've seen that in movies and TV shows. While crack is consumed intranasally or smoked, that heat of vaporization of 90 degrees Celsius is much easier to reach, which is why it's more likely to be smoked. The reason of this is because crack cocaine is a mixture of pure cocaine crystals along with a weak base that creates those more crystalline, rocky structures that we saw in the pictures earlier. Because of that, that's how it actually got its name. When you burn those crystals and you light them on fire to smoke, it actually makes a physical cracking sound, giving the name crack cocaine. In conclusion, both crack and crack cocaine are highly addictive substances, right? With slight differences, they're still a very big problematic drug. 4.8 million people over the age of 12 have reported using crack cocaine in the last 12 months. 1.4 million of those people report over the age of 12 report using cocaine use disorder in the last 12 months, meaning that there's some form of addiction there, as well as over 24,000 people dying of overdose in just 2021 alone. As you can see, all these statistics were gathered from the United States, meaning that this really is a nationwide problem. Another ongoing critique about crack and crack cocaine is the specific sourcing of them. Because it's the exact same drug, people expect them to be treated the exact same way in general, but that's not the case. People that are users and found in possession of crack are far more likely to be convicted of a crime than that of cocaine users. And a lot of that has to do with the stigma of just systematic issues in terms of income. Crack cocaine users are much likely to be lower income as cocaine users, being that crack is the impure version of cocaine, meaning that the people that consume crack the most are actually the ones that are being tried at higher numbers, likely just because of the financial benefit that cocaine users have over crack cocaine users. All of the references I used to put together these slides are right here listed below. I recommend reading all of them. They're very good information if you want to learn more about stimulants in general, or crack and crack cocaine and how they compare. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation, and I hope you enjoyed my infomercial.